release Jon Pertwee's for... Brilliant. Thanks. Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Doctor Who product review. It's that time of the year again when B&M have released their free exclusive collector sets, and as per usual we have a few re-releases in there that is great for the people who didn't get the initial versions for full price, and an absolute pain in the arse for the ones that did pay the original Forbidden Planet exclusive prices. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the one set that I'm going to be taking a look at from this new line, because quite frankly it's the only one that actually deserves its own video, because the other two are just lazy re-releases of previous figures. It is the Third Doctor collector set with two new figures, and I say new very loosely because they're in fact just re-releases of older ones just painted slightly differently. So the box itself is taking on the collector series format because hey, everything is a part of the collector series now because it makes it sound more official. At the top you have 5.5 inch / 14cm scale collector series, and then along the bottom you have the Doctor Who logo along with Third Doctor collector set and along with the figures that are included in this set and the character options logo. All three of the figures are displayed really nicely in the box along with a blue coggish background from the initial design. And then the sides of the box just have the Doctor Who logo along with two of the figures and a few more of the includes information once again. The same for the opposite side, but this time we have the Third Doctor and the Master along with some company information. The back of the box is really plain and dull actually, we just have the Doctor Who logo, the title of the set once again, and the three figures repeated with their names at the bottom just in case you get confused. No information about them at all. I really think they should do that to sort of at least clog out the box a little bit more, making it look like they've put a little bit more care into it. But yeah, at the bottom you have some company information as per usual, scan me, no thanks, and then at the top we have the Doctor Who logo, character options, and the Third Doctor collector set once again. So we're all three of the figures out of the box. Now the interesting thing is all three of these have been used before in the Forbidden Planet exclusive line, meaning we know what they look like when they've been put through quality control, they've used proper materials, and I'm going to be very interested to actually see what they've done with this set to make it cheaper, because they would have needed to do something somewhere to make this a cheaper set, because you're not even paying £5 per figure for this box set. So I am interested to see and comparing these to how the other versions actually are, and seeing if it is worth the money and to see if the quality is just as good. Starting off with Jon Pertwee, this is one that quite a lot of people have wanted to see for quite a long time. It is the Invasion of the Dinosaurs one, I do believe, and not gonna lie, it actually looks quite nice. I think the blue's really nice. It's probably one of the lightest ones that we've had so far. I know we had a blue one a few years back, but yeah, it's never been as light as this one, so I'm quite happy to see it in the collection actually. So taking a closer look, as you can see, the head has been done rather well. It is a little bit different from the initial releases. It actually looks a little bit older, especially around the eyes. You have a few more wrinkles, and that does tend to be a running theme actually, especially compared to the other sets. There tends to be a lot more of a sharper wrinkle effect to the face, definitely making him look a little bit older than the initial releases. I think the eyes have been done pretty well also. I think they've been done once again a bit differently. I think they actually look quite alive. I think I like the way that we have the white in there and a bit of the blue, especially the pupils as well. I think that's been quite well done actually compared to the initial version. Of the eyebrows that have been done quite well also, once again a little bit different compared to the original version. And then also the hair seems to be different as well. It seems to have more of a brighter effect to it. As you can see, we have a bit more of a yellowy design in there, making it look actually rather yellow on camera, maybe a little bit more than it is actually in person. But yeah, I think that's been done rather well. You have some grey highlights in there and a few flecks and things, definitely making it look like how it does in the show. Now we have a few more wrinkles around there, especially around the cheeks and things, which is nice to see, including the jawline as well, which is also good. We can look at the costume now. This is just the Green Death version, the Death to the Daleks version, the one that we've seen over and over again, pretty much for every single Jon Pertwee that we've seen so far, just repainted slightly differently. So as you can see, the bow tie's in a burgundy colour, done rather well. We have a few different shading and things in there. Once again, the sculpt remains pretty much the same compared to the original version, so we have a few creases and things in there, done rather well. If you look up slightly though, you can sort of see the blue in the way that it's leaked onto the bow tie, so that is a little bit annoying, but you can't really see it too much. We also have the frills of the jacket as well. Once again, those have been done pretty well along the buttons down the centre, which is quite nice. Once again, just simple blue on there, and I do believe a little bit of shading as well, which is quite nice to see. But once again, these do tend to end a little bit early actually on the jacket, so I don't know if that's meant to be like that. It certainly isn't on my Death to the Daleks version, which I'll bring on a little bit later. But yeah, that does tend to have a little bit of a gap there, so I don't quite know what's going on. I think that might be just a sculpting issue. But yeah, then of course you have the blue jacket. Once again, I wouldn't put it by them that this isn't in fact a sculpt for this jacket as seen in the actual story, because it never normally is. A lot of the Jon Pertwee figures is just a repaint of the same sculpt. We never done pretty well. Once again, the creasing has remained from the initial version along the lapels and things like that, going down the waist here and along especially the front along the buttons, the way that the creasing also comes around there, which is very nice to see. Once again, the sculpting of the creases does tend to be a little bit more softer compared to the initial versions actually. Moving back the arms, you also have some creasing in there as well, along with some stitching lines and things from the jacket itself, along with the pocket as well. The same thing applies for the arms, which is nice to see, a lot of creasing and things on there also. The arms, you have the shirt and the frills peeking out the bottom once again, much like any other release of Jon Pertwee. Hands have been sculpted in quite a nice way. Once again, it's been sculpted to hold the sonic screwdriver, much like any other Doctor figure, really. What Doctor figure isn't sculpted to hold the sonic screwdriver? But once again, that's been done rather well. Opposite hand has been done in the open palm position, but we do actually have the detailing of a ring on there, which is nice to see. Going down to the legs now, these are normally black on the majority of Jon Pertwee figures, or sort of a matte black colour. They're actually quite a dark chocolatey brown colour. They come out quite black on camera, as you can see, but if you just hold it up into the light a little bit more, especially there, you could sort of see quite a chocolatey brown colour. Very nicely done, actually. I'm presuming this is how it is in the story, otherwise they wouldn't have changed it. But yeah, creasing and things has retained from the initial sculpt, which is nice to see. So the same amount of detail has came across there, which is okay. Really too much to talk about, to be honest. We have the same chocolatey brown along the back as well, along the shoes, which would be nicely done in a matte black colour. Overall, for articulation, we have a bit of movement at the head, but mine doesn't really move at all. I do presume it's there, though. I just don't want to have any paint scratches on mine. We have 360 at the arm, as per usual. We have the upper arm articulation, along with bend at the elbow, 360 at the wrist, and then along with the 360 at the waist as well. Bend down at the leg, 360 at the thigh, and bend at the knee. Doing a comparison now of some of the previously released Jon Pertwee figures, generally there's not that much in it. As you can see, the hair is actually quite a lot different. It's a little bit more of a whitey yellowy colour. I quite like it, to be honest, but I never not like the other version, so I don't really think there's been much of an improvement there, just down to what you like more, but generally it is quite okay. I do think that the head is a lot more strict on this version. It's definitely a lot more subtle. The detailing and the creasing on the face is a lot nicer, I think, compared to the initial version, and especially the Toys R Us one, as the detailing on the face, especially the creases, did tend to be quite a lot softer on that one. One thing that I have noticed, however, is the PVC of the jacket does tend to actually be a little bit cheaper compared to the initial Forbidden Planet version. If I just give you a look, as you can see, moving back the jacket there, I've hardly even touched this, and it's already came undone at the buttony thing, so I don't quite know what's going on there. See, I think it's a little bit more of a cheaper material for what they've used, like comparing it to the initial Forbidden Planet version. As you can see, it doesn't even come up at all. So yeah, just be warned of that it is a little bit more of a cheaper material, but they are needing to cut back on prices somewhere. Would have been nice if this figure could have a sonic screwdriver. The Toys R Us one didn't, and this one doesn't either, and it's the same thing for the Master. That would have been nice for it to have the TCE. So generally, would have been nice to have a sonic screwdriver in this one, as I think that it definitely just completes the look a little bit better. Moving on to Jo Grant now, she looks a bit bloody scary, doesn't she? But yeah, what Jo Grant figure doesn't, let's face it. But yeah, this one, once again, it's probably been copied from one of the worst stories ever, and definitely along with one of the worst costumes. But hey, it's just a simple re-release of the third Doctor one without the jacket. It's quite a nice one, to be honest, if you like this boggin costume. Not even Katie Manning does. I asked her herself. But yeah, she looks okay, I guess. I think that it's an okay-ish design. Generally, once again, it's the same design as the initial version, so the credit for the actual sculpt can't really be given to this figure. So once again, the head is, yeah, a little bit weird. I think there's been a bit of a reverse reaction on this one, actually. There tends to be the detailing from the initial version tends to be lost within the paint, as opposed to the Jon Pertwee figure having it being a lot more subtle. But on this one, it tends to be, well, the eyes are bloody massive, as you can see, much like the initial version. I don't think they've really got Jo Grant ever exactly right, but as you can see, the eyes have been done okay. We have the massive irises in there, along with the white and things, which have been done rather well. We have the eyeliner as well. Generally, the eyes look quite alert with a lot of makeup on. We have a detailing on the face, a few creases and things in the lips, which is nice to see. Also nice to see that the lips have been a little bit more controlled compared to the last one that looked very happy and, well, very just massive, let's face it. But yeah, these have been a little bit more calmer, and she looks a little bit more normal this time, which is nice to see once again. So yeah, I do definitely think that she looks a little bit more normal and humane than the last one, which is nice to see. But once again, I don't really quite think it looks like Jo Grant from the actual time. I think, if anything, it looks like how Katie Manning does now, to be honest. To the hair itself, once again, the same detailing as sort of came across here, although the detailing has been sort of lost from the initial version. It did tend to be a lot more sharper and a lot more blonder, but as you can see, you have more of sort of a yellowy colour now, along with a bit of a brownish thing in there, a bit more glossier than the original, even to the extent that the top of the head there, where we have the roots coming out and things. Once again, it's not exactly as sharp as the original, but it still looks alright. Once again, we have all the detailings of the wavy hair and things on there. It does tend to hover a bit, though, and defies gravity, because the actual jacket is normally above this, the furry one from the original sculpt. So yeah, that doesn't really make sense, and it does look a little bit weird in that respect. It would be nice if it was sort of boiled down a little bit more, maybe squashed the head a little bit more to make it look like it's not hovering in midair. That would have been nice character to sort of work out how gravity works, please. But yeah, that's the head. Moving on to the body, as Katie Manning says, it looks a little bit like a Twix. As you can see, the brownish of the body is okay. It's a bit of a boggin dress, to be honest, let's face it. The sort of turtleneck has been done rather well, with the yellowy paint apps in there, along with a bit of a brown brownish effect as well, nice brown wash, which once again makes it look rather woolen, which is nice. Then we have this very 70s pattern on there, this weird sort of checkered effect with these very weird sort of triangle things on, which has been done rather well. It's just been printed on simply to the initial sculpt. And then towards the bottom of this, once again, we have a bit of a line running down the middle, along with the same pattern repeated once again, although this time note that we do have this sort of flurried effect, as seen on the initial version from the Three Doctors, but yeah, that's just been painted over in hope that you don't notice that. But yeah, of course we notice, character, we're not bloody thick. But yeah, as you can see on the arms, once again, the same detailing has been done. Once again, it's just brown with that same boggin detailing at the bottom of the yellowy triangle-y things, along with the sort of the green stuff, whatever that is. We have this flurry thing at the bottom there where sort of the cuffs have been done very overemphasized and very big, much like how they were in the actual show. And by the way, at the back of the dress, you have more of this detailing, once again, of the yellow lines and that weird triangle effect, but we do have this dodgy line going all the way down the middle, no doubt where it's been sort of tied to the body, but yeah, that's okay, at least it's hidden for once. But yeah, much like any other Joe Grant figure, the hands have been done rather well. We have a ring on every single finger, which is nice to see, and the same also applies for the opposite arm as well. Moving down to the legs now, we once again have some tights on here, or at least I think they're tights, either that, or she's been tangled. As you can see, they're very yellowy, aren't they? Very 70s-ish, but yeah, that's okay. Once again, just a simple paint over the skin, not really too much of a problem there. And then we have the boots. I don't quite know if these are accurate. Something's telling me just down to instinct that they might not be, and they've just literally painted over the old ones I've seen on the Third Doctor one. It wouldn't really surprise me, but yeah, once again, just the same boggin yellow as seen on the actual jacket stuff itself, or whatever the thing is above. But yeah, it's just a yellowy colour, once again, some sort of creasing and things of the material in there with the heels and things. Overall, it's alright, although it's just a bit of a boggin design, really, isn't it? Of course, with this being the initial figure, it has all the same articulation as the original, therefore 360 around the massive turtleneck, the ball joint at the arms, once again, very weak because it is female arms, therefore they are very flimsy, as you can see, and no doubt will pop out of that socket there. They have bend at the elbow, 360 at the wrists, you have, once again, waist articulation, bend at the knee, upper thigh as well, and that's really it. But once again, do note that the arms are in fact removable, much like how they obviously would be, because they won't go through the extent to actually take off the arms of the initial version. But note, just under there, we in fact have the colour from the initial Three Doctors version, and the same applies for under the dress. It's the same costume underneath that is the exact same figure to this one. So yeah, but do note though, this might be a good time to realise, look at the face and how it's changed. At least they've tried. And finally, doing a comparison with the Joe Grant figures, I do apologise if you're going to have nightmares for the rest of your life. As you can see, they've never really got Joe Grant right. She looks a bit psychotic in all of the versions, but generally it's probably the worst one that they've done. I like the Claws of Axos one actually quite a lot, actually, looking back at it. But yeah, generally, this is just a reuse of the Third Doctor sculpt. It is a little bit obvious from the Three Doctors, but generally, it is an okay figure. If you didn't get the initial version, it is still a pass at Joe Grant. At least they've tried to do something with it using the old sculpt, but generally, the older sculpt will always belong to the Three Doctors version, no doubt, because that's what it's actually meant to be, I do believe. And now finally we have Roger Delgado as the Master. This is basically a plain copy, no repaints from the initial version. This has been released a few times now. We had first of the Claws of Axos set with the axe on, then we had the Time Monster set with the Computer Bank TARDIS, and now we have this version, and then there's also the Priest version from the Daemons as well. But generally, if you got the initial version, there isn't really too much you're missing out with here. It's just a bit of a revised paint job, and once again though, it does actually look quite good. If anything, this is probably the best and most high quality from the whole set, to be honest, which is not really much of a surprise considering they've done this figure 3 times already, and I will be a little bit shocked if they couldn't get it right 3 times running. So starting off with the head, once again, it looks like Roger Delgado. It's been done really well, actually. I think the creasing has been, once again, much like the Jon Pertwee figure, a lot more prominent on the face, and it definitely looks a lot more sharper, especially around the eyes and the pupils and things and the eyebrows. It looks very different, and the creasing as well. I really do like the way the eyebrows have been done. They look very evil, along the creases on the forehead as well. Generally not really too much to talk about. The beard has been done quite nicely, once again, slightly revised from the initial version, which I'll take a look at a little bit later. But as you can see, the highlights on the beard have been a lot more toned down compared to the initial version. As you can see, generally, it's quite a sharp release, actually. I think the head has been done pretty well, except a little of a paint leak around the face there, as you can see, leaking onto the hair, which that is a little bit weird. But yeah, generally, it's been done rather well. The hair's been done quite nicely. You have the black there with the grey highlights, once again, been done pretty well. A little bit similar to the Jon Pertwee figure, actually. Once again, don't really see much of a difference there, except it looks a little bit more plainer and less sort of standy outy compared to to the initial version. So once again, a rather nice design. Taking a look at the body now, this is generally a little bit different compared to the initial version because it's a lot more glossy compared to it. It's a lot more matte on the initial version. I don't quite know which one's more right, really. But as you can see, you have a few creases and things at the back there, along with this really weird mark from the box, which is the same thing on the Jon Pertwee figure a little bit annoyingly. But yeah, we have some pockets on there, along with a stitching line down the middle, which is no doubt a zip and things. Generally not too much to talk about at all. We do have a few creases and things on there, on the arms and things. I like the way the shirt pops out, and then as always, he's got his gloves on, which once again has a bit of detailing on there, which is nice once again. Nice to see. I don't know if he ever took his gloves off, but maybe it might have been nice to see a variant with them off. I don't know if he ever did that. I'm just sort of scraping the barrel here for Roger Delgado variants. But as you can see, creasing on the trousers once again, a few bits of detailing on there, and then the shoes are also glossy. Not really too much to talk about at all, because he is essentially wearing the equivalent of a fully black suit, just generally exactly the same really, except the material does tend to be a little bit more cheaper and a lot more glossier, and I don't quite know what to expect from it really, but generally it is okay. Again, as this is basically a complete rip-off of the initial version, we have exactly the same articulation. We would have the head there, 360 if you wanted to force it. You have 360 at the arms all the way around, upper articulation 360 at the upper arm, bend at the elbow, then we also have the 360 at the wrist as well, along with 360 waist articulation, 360 at the thigh, and bend at the elbow. Do we have any at the shoe? No, we don't. But yeah, generally exactly the same articulation to any other Roger Delgado figure, because let's face it, we've not had any other than this one, because even the priest one was that one underneath. But yeah, doing a comparison with the other master figures available, as you can see, generally there's not much in it. I do definitely think the initial version has a little bit more to it. I don't know what it is, I just like it a little bit more. Even though the beard looks a little bit weird with the white streaks on, I generally think it's a little bit nicer, and it's something that's completely missing from the other two variants, along with the fact that it comes with the TCE as well. Similar thing to the third Doctor figure, we have nothing to put with him, so it would have been nice to have the TCE with him, guys. That wouldn't have stretched too far, would it? But yeah, we have the Priest Master figure, which is one of my favourite figures, I think, of all time. I really like it. A bit of a blend with the head. I think that for some reason, that figure is a lot paler compared to this one. I don't know if he generally was paler in the Daemons or something like that, but yeah, generally I think the skin tone is a little bit weird on that one, and this newest figure is a bit of a blend of the two, except he looks a little bit more darker in this one, so I don't quite know what's going on with that one, because I think the beard looks similar to the Daemons version, so yeah, it's all confusing, but generally I still think that I like the initial version a little bit more, because I think that the plasticiness of the new B&M one, it looks a little bit too glossy, and I especially like the matte version of the body on the actual initial version, as well as the detailing on the head as well, as it just generally looks a little bit more sharper. So overall for this set, honestly, I'm going to bear in mind that this is a B&M set for only £15, and I don't really expect as highest of quality as the Forbidden Planet collector sets, because let's face it, those are quite expensive and no doubt had a lot more quality control, as I previously said, and things like that. I think generally the Jon Pertwee figure fits in really well. I think the detail on it's very nice. It's nice to finally see this costume in figure form. I think all we need to see now is the red version from, I think it's one of the Peladon stories, and then we're sort of complete for Jon Pertwee figures, and that's one of the main notorious ones that we're still yet to see. And the Roger Delgado figure, there isn't really too much in it. It just feels a little bit weaker compared to the others. Same with the Jon Pertwee one to the extent, especially the jacket. And the Joe Grant, I don't even know where to start with that one. It's a bad costume. The head is a bit weird, and generally still is okay, but I don't think they've got it right, really. I think, especially with the Joe Grant and the Roger Delgado figure, I honestly get a bit of a cheap knockoff feeling. Even though they're made from character options, that's how I feel about them. I don't feel that they're up to standards, really, compared to the initial Forbidden Planet versions, but they're still passable from afar, like the other side of the room. They will fit in well with your figures if you don't really look at them for too much. Like, I think that generally they're okay and passable if you missed out on the other sets, but if you're a collector of the Forbidden Planet collector sets, don't expect as high a quality as them, because you're definitely not going to get them with these. Overall, for £14, you can't really go wrong if you missed out on the Jon Pertwee figure in the past, and along with the other ones as well. But for the other collectors, then don't really expect the bestest of sets. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoy it, please do give it a big like, and please subscribe if you're not already. If you have any questions, please do leave them below, and I'll be sure to answer them at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and I shall see you all next time. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.